Hey everybody, it's Michael from Steelyard here with Jackie Von Tobel and Deb Barrett joining me in the Airstream. How are you?
Good.
Awesome.
Good to see you. And I we chatted briefly last week and we weren't makeup ready and TV ready to live. So
You know us girls. We gotta be TV ready, Michael.
But the most important thing that we talked about that I'm most excited about is that you are both new grandmothers during this time that we're in right now. So
Yes.
tell me about that.
There she is. There's one.
This is mine.
We had that teed up, didn't we? Look at that.
This is Daisy. So she was born 2 weeks before?
Yeah.
Okay, so she was the first to arrive.
Okay.
Our daughters both got married in the same year and had babies 2 weeks apart from one another. Deb, do you have a photo?
I don't have a photo. My granddaughter is just 6 weeks and is in Boston.
Okay.
In quarantine. I just got back from there. So she's my warrior princess. Her name is Eva, which is Irish Gaelic for warrior princess.
Okay, so Eva and Daisy, right?
Yeah, Daisy just means flower. Little sweet flower.
That's great. So
hand her back to mommy.
that's amazing. Not even a picture, just a live baby right there.
Well, we
There you
gotta
go.
when we're on Steelyard, we gotta,
Gotta up our game.
wrap it up.
Well, look,
It was a great experience for both of us, though, during all this weirdness to bring some new generations into our families.
For sure.
that's it. That's what I was going to say. It's a strange time, a scary time for a lot of people, and to have that joy, that's such a great piece to have.
Mm-hmm.
It's awesome. Well, tell us. I mean, you're both in different parts of the country, right? And every area of the country has been affected differently. So tell us about where you are and kind of what it's been like, just from a personal, on the ground standpoint you're at.
You want to start, Deb?
Sure. So actually, as I mentioned, I was in Boston at the height of the quarantine in the city, which was, and I'm out in the exurbs generally. So it was somewhat of a surreal scenario for me. And all the things that you're hearing about where, nothing in the grocery store, nobody walking on the streets. There was a 9 p.m. curfew at the height of it. One of the good things I will say is with curbside pickup and delivery with the restaurants, we had some amazing 4 Michelin star restaurant meals for very inexpensively. It was really awesome.
Silver linings. That's great.
Silver lining from it. Yeah, actually, yeah. Fox and Friends that's on Top Chef right now. We ate several times there, but. So then came back to Chicago, and as I said, I'm in the, and we're not open as most of the rest of the country. They still haven't opened our parks, for example, and outdoor areas and that kind of stuff. And who knows what's happening. It's kind of it's typical Illinois politics, if you will. And I understand there's a challenge by against the governor for the stay at home. So we'll see where it all plays out, but nothing's really open outside of curbside restaurants and pharmacies and grocery stores.
Okay, so that's a little perspective from the Northeast in Boston, from the Midwest in Chicago, and then moving to the shadows of Las Vegas Market in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Tell us what that's like.
Las Vegas, they followed the California lead and locked down early. Yeah. We had a couple cases at one of our big hotel properties early on, and so that basically shut the town. And I mean, it closed down overnight, and I mean, everything closed.
Wow.
Same thing in California. So, they were just starting to close when I got in the car to drive down to stay with my daughter here in California, to wait for the baby to come.
Yeah.
And I got to California, and then they shut California down.
Wow.
And it was just a very surreal experience. I mean, they went full shutdown. Everyone went into panic buying. You'd go in the grocery store, nothing. I mean, literally an empty grocery store. 2 weeks later, or 2.5 weeks later, we finally went into a grocery store, and there was groceries in there. I actually started crying in the middle of a Ralph's grocery store. I'm like, oh my God, there's food. Hallelujah. But it was a real eye-opener, for me, just how quickly things can completely change.
Sure.
And Deb and I were talking through, the whole experience and talking about, well, what does this mean for us? What does it mean for our separate businesses and our business that we have together? And, it's very interesting. I mean, California is still pretty much locked down. They have opened restaurants now for takeout and curbside delivery. Las Vegas just last week opened restaurants for seating. So, but they've just, I'm so amazed how these communities have been so quick to adapt. I tell you, if you're in the plexiglass business right now, this is going to be your best year.
Absolutely.
Because all of the plexiglass dividers, I will admit that out of just pure self-preservation, because I hadn't had my hair done in 3 months, I had the opportunity to go to my salon, which opened the day I left Vegas to come back down here. And it was really an interesting experience. They had plexiglass dividers between the sinks, very tastefully done. It's a beautifully done design salon. So this is a whole new thing for designers to get into, is retrofitting these places. And then you have some places like that do it a little bit sort of temporary with shower curtains and things. But I think these things are going to stay in place. I enjoyed having a more intimate and private experience at the salon and not just being exposed between everybody and you can't use dryers or blow dryers in the salon. But everyone wore a mask, and it was, actually kind of a nice experience, spotlessly clean. They come in, you see them wiping down the chair before you sit down. They wipe it as soon as you get out. So I felt extremely safe there. So that was a good thing.
You talk about the segue of new design and concepts and everything else, but I am interested in hearing about what you're hearing from designers, because we talk about small businesses being impacted, and you all talked about how your businesses and what you have together, you've been having those conversations. But you two, in your shared business, you talk to a lot of designers.
Right.
Or a lot of folks. I've been part of your red carpet experiences in Vegas and chatting with your folks, and in High Point, you talk to a lot of people. What are you hearing from them? What are they sharing with you, and what are their concerns that you've had to address with them?
I think everybody was so afraid in the beginning, but I can tell you on the West Coast, business is up. And I mean, Deb, I'll let you share what you just shared with us just now, on your end, but I can tell you at the Laguna Design Center, business has only been down 5%, which was shocking to me. I thought it would be down far more from last year. And I can tell you personally, my business is up. My online sales are up great in a big way. And from what we've heard and from what I've heard and seen online from designers is they're picking up new clients. And really good jobs. People, I think, are deciding to stay in the homes that they're in. It's not a great time probably to speculate on real estate, so they want to improve, and I myself have done that. So from what I'm hearing, a lot of it is very positive. What do you think, Deb?
Yeah, I agree. I think there's as with anything, when you have a crisis, there's a lot of misinformation, disinformation. So at the beginning, it was like, oh, when should I apply for a PPP? I don't know what to do. This person said no, and yes, I should, and and the unemployment and all that kind of stuff from a financial perspective. Plus, we glaze over as designers and creatives when we have to talk about cash flow and financials anyway. And then when the banker says, well, let me see your profit and loss statement, well, then we're like apoplectic, right? So there was a lot of, as you said, sort of anxiety and fear for that. And then once we okay, we got to get through this, and then kind of, let it come to us, I think, in a way. Sure. Definitely more projects. I'm hearing that, make a different kind of project. Okay. It's not, and in several things are driving that, but definitely business isn't down as much as I think that they thought they would. I'm also hearing that the stimulus was all well and good, but now we're ready to get back to business, and people that had employees are having issues getting people to come back to work.
Right.
So it's going to be an interesting labor force thing as we move forward, I think, for us. Again, supply chain kind of thing, where I'm also hearing with back orders, supply chain, people just aren't willing to wait. They're just, let's make another choice.
Right.
Right. So you really have to do there's, you know, again, I think the way we're specifying and the way we're going to be, you know, doing projects is we're going to be doing it a lot differently, not only, you know, from the virtual aspect of it, because we're never going to go back from virtual.
Right.
We got dragged kicking and screaming into it as an industry, and it's here to stay.
It's going to be a
People
big
are
piece.
loving it.
Absolutely. So I think an interesting point, Deb, that you just made, and the question coming out of it is, what are you going to need? You know, forget the preparedness and forget what you're advising the designers. What are you all going to need from manufacturers moving forward, right? As we move into this environment with different, you know, challenges, what do you need most from them, or what are you hearing from designers that you work with that they're going to need most, you know, from an education standpoint or samples, or what are you hearing about that?
Well, we're going to need a lot more transparency than what we had. Okay. We're going to need to know, okay, because our client is saying to us is like, is the foam safe? Where did the foam come from? You know, I've been spraying my groceries for 2 months now with Lysol. You know, how are you gonna clean this fabric because it came over on a container on the sofa before I get it in my house? You know, I think, you know, those kinds of things. So I think from manufacturers, we're going to need more transparency, more information, you know, whether it's process, fabrication, all that kind of stuff. If it's not in stock, tell us it's not in stock.
Right.
Right. And I think they have to we were just talking about this. I think that they have to up their delivery game for us. I mean, now the client is used to getting all these wonderful little boxes and prizes and possessions in their, you know, an Amazon or whatever. Now they want it done really nicely, right? And I mean, we just recently did a webinar where we were talking about what rooms of the house are going to change, and one of them that we're forecasting is going to be two that'll be major changes is that whole idea of mudrooms and entry foyers are going to be, it's all about delivery, access to the house, cleanliness in the powder room. You know, you're going to have shower and stuff next door to it now, so you can clean up and, you know, clean textiles and all that kind of stuff.
And so your deboxing area.
Yeah, well, seriously, right? Or like now that you were going to have everything delivered, how are you going to, instead of having them on your front stoop, where you're going to have an area like a doggy door kind of thing that it can go into and still be pretty, but it can be, you know, locked in and be safe. And so it's going to be interesting to see how that, I mean, we're going to be doing lots of different kinds of things with design, as Jackie said, whether it's renovating or, you know, just different ways to do it. But I mean, I think that everybody's optimistic. I haven't heard anybody saying, oh, woe is me, I'm not going to make it. Yeah.
Good.
I think from manufacturers, for sure, one of the things that they're really going to have to concentrate on is providing a much more robust selection of digital media on each item of furniture. And, you know, I did an interesting thing with Curry the other day, where they're showing people people of different sizes sitting in their chairs.
Yeah.
So you can sort of gauge, your client can gauge when buying something online, do you think this is going to fit me? This is a 5'6" woman, this is a 6'3" man.
Right.
So in 360 visualization is going to be huge. So you can see the piece in the round, all of those things, virtual, you know,
we've got to get
virtual showrooms.
Yeah. AR and VR's got to be, they've got to up their game on that stuff. I mean, Wayfair, as we saw, what was it, two years ago at Market when they kind of did their whole little VR thing and everyone was like, oh, this will never, yeah.
But I think it also,
their
it has
stock
to
is
be
up
brought down.
750%.
Yeah, I think it has to be brought down and really focused though on the individual piece. How do you sell this piece?
Sure.
Right.
You show a video of somebody sitting in it. You can see how far they're sinking in. You can see how relaxed it is. So then you feel comfortable buying that piece online because people just are not going to want to go away from that.
No.
We're now been 3 months on with buying everything virtually, and people like it. Not only do they like the convenience of buying that way, but they love the receiving part of it. And now if you don't get a package every day, you're pissed, right? It's like, where's my delivery? Nobody came, nothing came today.
And
there's this expectation now of product arriving. And in a time of, depression for a lot of people or isolation, that's their connection to the outside world. And so I think that's definitely going to have to stay consistent.
Well, and if you remember, Michael, in Las Vegas, we were talking about, telling the story and seeing the process and behind the scenes as designers. I think manufacturers are going to have to kind of reformat or rethink, if you will, or reinvent how we learn about the manufacturing process or their design narrative. Because also think about it, part of all this delivery is all these DIY, whether you want a custom crafted cocktail, you want, to get a steak and you're going to grill it yourself. You want to get, can't get yeast because everybody's baking bread. So there's all this like DIY thing that we had this sort of love-hate relationship with, right? Before as designers, they're not our clients. So now that they're so involved in the process, in the creation of something, how much are they going to want to be even more involved in the design process?
Sure.
And how can a manufacturer help us really make them feel, maybe it's through virtual reality, they get to go and pound nails on their sofa. I mean, I don't know what it is, but it has to be something, it has to be that next level.
Yeah.
It can't just be digital 360.
No, you're right. And look,
one thing I really wonder about though, also is that, and you may know more about this, Michael, talking to more manufacturers, but I'm really curious to see how the numbers play out.
Yeah.
Have they missed designers' business? Have designers' business consistently kept going where retailers have fallen off? Obviously, brick and mortar is closed. Is that going to make them value that designer dollar more? Will they work harder to make something exclusive for us, to make it easier for us to sell with authority and not be shopped by big online retailers? Or has that business gone so far, in advance and is becoming such a big feed for them that designers will be less valued? So that's something I think that I have my eye on that's really important. And I'm hoping that it's going to be that, they are really going to value the designers as a sales force going forward, and a rep force, and a, mini ambassadors, if you will, for their companies to sell their products.
I think you're right. They have to, right? And we'll see where the numbers shake out. But so I want to move on to my last question, because clearly I've lost control of this conversation. It was supposed to be fun. There's so much. I sat back. I literally sat back, and I just, because you bring so much knowledge to the process of conversation. And these are all really good questions that we as an industry have to ask and answer, not just ask. We have to answer these questions for all of us to keep moving forward. So
please don't give me any more panels about, how I'm working and how my home office looks like. Really, I want some really great conversation between all the stakeholders in this industry. If I could have one thing happen at post-live. Sorry, whoops, got on my little rant there.
Okay, so let's talk about panels, and what panels leads me to in my mind is markets. So Vegas market, High Point market, where I'm so used to seeing both of you and hanging out with you. You know what's going on. And
Well,
yet,
Vegas is on track for the end of August.
yep.
And so we're looking forward to having a conversation there to see how they feel that that's going to play out. I feel that it's going to be interesting. I don't know yet if it will be limited attendance. It might even be some sort of like invitation only. I have no idea how they're going to do that and still keep in line with the government and the state's guidelines for social distancing, for safe occupancy. How are they going to serve food there? I mean, it's like there's just so much logistics that these guys have to go through to get that on. I can't even imagine. So that's Vegas market.
Yeah.
And we know Jackie, I think we already know that High Point market will change.
Yes.
Because of the breakdown into the 9 days and the 3 regions or whatever it is, right? Because for us, our tour has always been 5-6 days. So we aren't sure how it will, manifest, but we do know that it's definitely going to change.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's going to change market forever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot to come. We will learn a lot in the next couple weeks. And I think everybody's trying, right? So the markets are trying to get us back and figure out a way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And we're all
our community's telling us they want to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
people are really dying to
get out.
Just interact, and markets are so important for us. And I think Deb and I both share a really optimistic opinion about the change that will come out of this, because we've needed to change for so long.
Mm-hmm.
There's been so much hesitancy, and it almost takes this black swan event to get that going and force them into the changes that they've been thinking about. They've been talking about it for years. They've been trying to implement things, but this is the tipping point now. And I see only good things coming forward. It'll be different, but I think it'll be a good different.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I agree. That's great. Well, I love the optimism. I love that you both have new grandbabies to celebrate with.
They're both girls too. I don't think we said that.
Yeah, no, we got it.
Girls.
Yep,
Yes.
absolutely.
To be clear.
Girl power, right, Dad?
Yeah.
As a dad to a young girl, I agree. Girl power. I have 2 boys too, but my girl has my heart, so I know.
Oh yeah. We have boys also, so.
I'm thankful for your time, but I'm more thankful for the questions that you're asking and that we will answer as an industry. And I'm going to take these and we're going to push them forward, and we're going to challenge the manufacturers to answer them.
Great. Anything we can do to help.
It's awesome.
Absolutely.
I enjoyed it. I'm glad that we got this on the calendar finally. We got the makeup on, our hair done.
Well, kind of.
You're not going to let us live that down, are you?
And I cannot wait to see you all at hopefully Vegas Market and certainly High Point.
Yes.
Fall.
Will do.
All right. Well, thank you for having us in the Airstream once again. It's always a
Thanks
pleasure.
so much. Talk soon.
Bye-bye.